Well, it's getting dark now, so I'm done for the day. But I brought the BobCat over here with a bucket on it and cleaned out this pad here. This is beside the cabin. There's a sawmill there. This is where we decided we're going to build a warehouse. So anyway, I cleaned this out, and then I went and got the wood splitter here, brought it over here and set it beside the woodshed. The woodshed's emptying out pretty fast here in this cold weather. I took all of this snow that was in here, or the majority of it that was in here, and hauled it out here into the driveway. Piled it up here on the top of the driveway, and then when I got it all done, I pushed it down the driveway and took it across the highway. Well, I dug out my snow blade, or my dozer blade. Got it. I'll probably start using it here and clean this snow up a little bit and see if I can get it down. But I've got to do some work on it first. One of the quick connectors is froze up. Well, they're both froze up, but one of them is froze up internally, rusted up or crudded up or something. I've got a new quick connector to put on it. And then this thing is a 6-way dozer blade, so it tilts up and down. The corner, one corner will pick up, the other one will go down, and then it angles back and forth. So it has a solenoid switch in there to change which cylinder is active, and that takes a 12-volt DC. And of course it wasn't a common one. I mean, it was a common one, and the BobCat has proprietary electronics on it, so I had to fix up a wiring harness for it. Anyway, I've got to redo the wiring harness on it there now. It's kind of gotten worse for wear. That's up here where I can get to it and work on it. Well, like I said, I pushed all this snow out of the pad up there down the driveway and then across the highway, and that's kind of what I do with the snow when we get a bunch of snow, is take it across the highway. I'll push it down here into my driveway turnout here, right here, and pile it up so it's just outside of the edge of the highway, just off the travel portion of the road. And then I'll push it over there and pile it up over there, and that's the downstream side of the culvert. If I push it in here on this other side behind me on the upstream side of the culvert, then it plugs that culvert up when it starts raining and stuff, and it'll flood. If we put it on the downstream side of the culvert there, then the water will just wash through it. I had a pretty good pile over there. It was starting to get so you couldn't see down the road, and then it gets to where it interferes with the highway department when they start berming back the berms. Well, I cleaned it up a little bit the other day, the last time that it snowed, and took it across the highway. We've got clear weather. I'm trying to clean things up now and get ready for the next snowstorm, so I went ahead and cleaned that pile out there as much as I could and took it over here across the highway. Come here, Haji. Yeah, good boy. Well, this is what I do over here. I bring that snow over here and dump it over the edge and ramp it up and pack it in so that I can just keep walking it back. You can see, I don't know if you can tell how deep that is, that bank is right there or not, but it drops off right here off the edge of the highway where that berm is right there. Come here, Haji. Come here. Stay close. That's about 15 feet deep down there. That snow is in already, and I've got it packed in. There have been several winters where I've had it way out there past where that white stump is right there. And it looks like this may be one of those winters where we get it packed back in there quite a ways. So anyway, I push it back in there and pack it down. And once it sets up, then you can drive on it. This is freezing now, and that snow is dry and powdery, so it doesn't pack in very good. But did better when I had the tracks on it, but there was other problems with the tracks. So anyway, once I pack it in there real tight and then let it sit, then it'll freeze up and get solid. All right, Haji, come on. Come on. So that's what we did today. Haji, come on. Oh, anyway, I'm done with that for the day. Oh, it was a nice morning this morning. Clear blue sky. I came out a little earlier and it was a balmy 17 degrees out here. Now it's warmed up to a sweltering 19, I think. Yep, about 19 degrees. See what the other thermometer says there. But it's supposed to warm up a little bit. We're under a winter storm advisory right now. Forecast a heavy snow tonight, tomorrow night, and then get back cold again after that. Forecast to get between 1 and 2 feet of snow. We're looking forward to that. Judy's out there shoveling out around the roof of her chicken coop, trying to get ahead of it a little bit. She's shoveling it out to give it room to slide off there, getting ready for the next big storm. We took the dog out for their evening run last night, and it was 4 degrees out there. Less than a mile from here, it was 7 degrees, but when we got back home here, it was 16. I came out about 1 o'clock last night, early this morning, put wood on the fire in the shop stove, and it was, I think it cooled off to about 14 degrees, something like that. So I dug the blade out of the snowbank. The last time I used it, I noticed that one of the quick connect couplings, the hydraulic couplings on there, was getting kind of froze up. Now, of course, it's froze up for sure now because everything's all icy, but it was getting kind of rusty and stuff. I gotta fix that before I can use that blade. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do now if I don't freeze my fingertips off. There's 2 couplers on those hydraulic attachments that go onto the BobCat. There's a male and a female one. So that one is the male one. That one is okay. The one on the other side over there I was working on, that one is messed up. It's stuck open. And both of them were froze up, and I took the heat gun and heated them up and got the ice out of them and stuff. But the big one, called the female one there, it was bad from earlier. I noticed that this summer when I had gravel dumped up here for the driveway and spread it out on here, that one was messed up. So I ordered some new couplings, and it looks like I got the wrong one. Anyway, it's the wrong coupling, the new one is. So I've got some more couplings, I think, in the box. I got a bunch of hydraulic fittings and stuff in a box, and I'll go see if I can find another coupling that'll fit on there. With this, huh? There it went. Okay. There it went. Thanks. You helped big. That was a big help. Yeah, thanks. That was a big help. That was a big help, bud. Yes, it was. Alright, so this is the coupling I took off of there. You can see that one's stuck open. It's got some crud in it and stuff, but it was stuck open just from rust and whatnot. I did find another one in the box, but it's messed up too. I've got one set up on a pigtail line that I was using. I think I used this on my winch because I got the winch. I got a power supply for the winch that takes this type of coupling, and then I use this type of coupling for mounting the winch on the BobCat. So I can take this off and put it on that other one over there. Well, that's what we'll do. Alright, so much for that easy fix. I guess I'm going to have to go to town, and this is a different type of thread. This is a hydraulic fitting, I guess, and that other's a 1/2-inch pipe thread. So I guess I'm going to have to go to town and see if I can get an adapter or something to fix that. I'm sure they don't have these in town. I think I'll go stick this in the ultrasonic cleaner, and maybe I can get this cleaned up and working. This uses a national pipe thread, 1/2-inch national pipe thread fitting, and this is what they call an O-ring flat face fitting. So it uses a standard thread. This happens to be a 16 thread per inch thread in there, and I think it's 3/4 inch. So pipe thread won't fit it. Well, alright, a little bit of inconvenience, but I'll run down to the Napa store before they close today, get some kind of a setup, lash up, figured out that I can adapt my hose, my hydraulic hose, with the O-ring flat face fitting on it to pipe thread. So we went down there, and he went out, and the guy at Napa went back in his little magic cubicle, went through the boxes and made adapters and this and that and the other thing, and what he come up with was an O-ring flat face fitting to a JIC fitting, and then we go from a JIC fitting to a pipe thread. The only problem was, once I looked at it, it was the wrong way. He wound up with a male O-ring flat face fitting going to a female pipe thread fitting, and that's just the opposite of what I needed. Well, he got to looking around there and didn't have anything to fit. They didn't have any fittings, and he said they didn't make a female O-ring flat fitting. Well, I went online and started looking online, and sure enough, they do make that kind of a fitting. And I also found a quick coupler, a flat face coupler with 3/4 inch O-ring flat face, which would be a replacement for this. I found a pair of those. So I could get either one of those on Amazon, and they'd be here in a couple weeks. And I'd really like to have that blade going to get this driveway cleaned up and stuff. The Napa guy came up with an idea that maybe I could take this coupling, cut it off, and weld in a 1/2 inch pipe thread bushing in there, or adapter in there. So he gave me this bushing. I can do that. I can cut this off, stick this in there and weld it in, and then I can adapt, put this back on the hose, and put this on this end. So that's a possibility. The other possibility that I thought of was that I could take the hose off of the machine and take it down to the Napa store that has a hydraulic hose making capability, and have them cut off the O-ring flat face fitting off from the hose and put a national pipe thread fitting on there. So we've got 4 options. We can either order the adapter that will go from the O-ring flat face fitting to the national pipe thread fitting, or I can order the new O-ring flat face fitting coupler, or I can make this into an adapter to fit onto this 1/2 inch national pipe thread flat face coupler. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put this on the lathe. Now this one is foobarred. This one is messed up, and I think what happened is when the blade was off the machine, it gets moved around quite a bit from one place to another as they go from one project to another, and it happens to be in the way wherever it's at. I think this fitting got somehow smashed and out around. I thought it just got dirty and crudted up, but as I get to looking at it, I think it got smashed and is out around. I tried mashing that to get it to flatten out, but that's kind of a lost cause. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the lathe and cut this off, and then see how it goes about welding this in there. And if this doesn't work out, then I've still got the option of taking that hose off of there and taking it down and having a different fitting put on the end of it. Well, let me get everything set up here. I got to move the camera out of the way, figure out what the hell I'm doing. Oh, that was good. Had a spring in there. Look at that. I guess I should have known that. I guess I'm not going to be using that one. I guess what I'm going to have to do is turn this down some more. That won't quite come out of there. It's captured behind this ridge right here, I guess. Alright, there's the valve portion of it. Interesting piece. This is what we got here, the idea. And that'll maybe kind of work. I don't know. Alright, I can take the end of this down a little bit, and then maybe a little bit of a shoulder onto that, so that it fits in there kind of like a socket. Okay, this is what we got now. It's got a little taper in it in there. What I'm going to do is, I don't need this flats on here at all. What I'm going to do is turn this down just a little bit so that it fits down in that hole there like a, fit down in there like a socket. I don't have to take a heck of a lot off of that. Okay, a little bit more than that. Bit more. Famous last words. That's perfect. Now I probably need to take a little bit off of that. I'm going to chamfer the inside of that real good. That fluid's going to flow in the inside, so make a nice chamfer in there. Oh yeah, that fits in there good. Anyway, that fits in there like a socket. That should center that pretty good in that hole. I shortened that up enough in there that it doesn't interfere into that, taper into that portion there anymore. And I've got a nice chamfer to make the smooth transition for the fluid to flow into that one, although there's plenty of more sticky spots in it for it. So degrease this and everything and clean it up, and then I can weld it up. Oh. That's what it looks like now. Who knows what it's going to look like when I get done. Okay, something wrong with this. Alright. Not getting any gas flow or something. Bah, humbug. Looks like we're going to have a white Christmas. Not that that was ever in any doubt. It's Tuesday, December 21st, and it's snowing again. Now this was forecast to snow today. They said heavy snow, might get 3 to 6 inches of snow. I was out here last night till a little after midnight working on this coupling for the BobCat blade. Came out, stoked the fire in the stove, and it just started snowing. And it's about 9:30 in the morning now. We've already got a foot of snow on the ground, and it's snowing heavy. It's supposed to clear off this evening. I find that hard to believe, but that could happen. And it's supposed to get cold again. Back to Christmas Eve, forecasting -6. Christmas Day, the high is only going to be about 5. So I guess it's going to get cold. Anyway, the power just went out. I was kind of doing some other things. I had to quit. Can't do anything indoors now. Can't see anything. It's dark, so I'll find something else to do for a little bit. Got to go put this argon tank in the truck, get the truck going, I guess, and get the argon tank in the truck and get some new argon so I can finish welding that piece. And I guess more snow plowing is in the future, more shoveling snow. I didn't get a chance to work on the dozer blade today. I started that last night, but I was having a hard time with it because I've been getting a lot of soot. Oh, my argon bottle was down to about, I don't know, 500 pounds or less, something like that. I thought maybe the argon had gone bad or wasn't working right or something, so I loaded that tank up in the truck today and took it into town, traded it off for a fresh bottle, and then I spent all day out plowing snow. Well, I've just come back in here now. I started working on this again, and when I first started on it, I was still getting a lot of soot, and I wasn't getting the gas that I thought I was, so I fooled around with it a little bit, and I started getting better, but I was still getting soot out of it. I think that piece is galvanized because I'm getting green off of it and kind of that white smoke you get off of it from galvanizing. I didn't know that it was galvanized. I thought it was just steel, but it must have some zinc on it. I cleaned the zinc off as much as I could, polished it down and stuff, and it was getting better, but I was still getting smoke out of it and stink. Well, there must be a rubber seal in that thing that I didn't see, that I didn't take out, because I just had one weld blow out and a flame coming out of it, and I can smell the rubber burning, the plastic burning, whatever. But anyway, I've just about got it. I've got this side here, which is where I had spot weld or tack weld on, and I did kind of a crappy weld on that. That was one of the first ones. The ones on either side of it are a lot better. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I'll finish this one up, and then the blown out one is over here on this other side. It's done venting now, so I should be able to close it off. Oh, that thing might work. We'll get it welded up, and then tomorrow we'll see if we can get it put on there and see if we can get it to work. Anyway, I'll keep working on this. If I keep practicing and practicing and practicing, if I practiced every day for a couple hours for a year, I might work my way up to being a mediocre welder. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not ecstatic, but I'm pretty happy. It's not bad. It'll work anyway. Not great, not Jody Collier great, but it's good enough for who it's for. So, like I said, that's not perfect. We'll find out if it's good enough or not. I'll put it on there. And if it doesn't blow apart, blow hydraulic fluid all over the place, it should be good. Like I said, there's a rubber seal in there someplace that I didn't know about, and maybe that was what that tapered section was. It blew out here on the one weld. I let it burn out, cleaned it up, and went ahead and welded around the rest of it, and then went back over that hole again, and then the smoke and stuff was coming out the front here instead of out through the whole gap there. So hopefully that's good enough. I'll let that cool off. Alright, well, it's almost midnight here, so that'll do it for tonight for this. Well, it's back to being beautiful weather, clear, dry, cold, after it warmed up yesterday and snowed about 18 inches or so. Now we're back into a dry weather trend again. About 7 o'clock or so it started clearing up and stars were out, and by the middle of the night the moon was out. We watched the temperature drop down from 31 degrees to about 20 degrees. Well, I think it's about 22 degrees or so now. Forecast is for it to get colder every day now. It's supposed to get down to, well, below zero at night and right around zero or just 4 or 5 degrees in the daytime. Well, I got that coupling welded up last night. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go down and put it together and put it on that dozer blade, hook up the BobCat and see how it works. Well, there's the dozer blade. Got snow all over it again, but that end that I was working on is open. So I've got to go in the shop here and put this coupling together with the adapter that I made, and then I'll come out and put it on the hose. I took this piece here that I made, this old coupling, and I put it on the lathe. I'd had a little bit of burrs on here from the welding. I took off and flattened that face. I really didn't need to because the pipe thread is not going to go that far anyway. But I did it just because, and then I just kind of took the lathe and just kind of went up across here a little bit and knocked all the high spots and stuff off of there. Took just a little bit off of this body of this, just to pretty it up a little bit. Now this is just a simple plumbing project here now. It goes on this way, so I'll put my tape on the opposite direction. Inch and a quarter. That should be tight enough. It said to torque this down on the hose to 40 foot-pounds, lubricated. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of lubricant on that, and then I'll get suited back up again and we'll go out and put it on the hose. I'll go ahead and get the heat gun out and warm that up because that O-ring is probably hard from being frozen. Okay, that should do it. Now I got to clean the snow off of that thing and we'll hook it up. Working in the cold weather can be a real pain. You got to preheat the equipment to get it started, especially diesel equipment needs to be preheated to start it up. Batteries aren't near as efficient. And then of course you start getting things iced up. I used the heat gun to heat up those hoses to put them together, and then I had to use it on the BobCat itself to get those connectors, couplings to work there. I took the bucket off of the BobCat, stuck it over out of the way. Everything was froze up on it. The BobTack was froze up on it and I couldn't get it off. Yesterday with that snow we had towards the end of the day, it warmed up. So everything got warmed up and ice melted in there on the BobTack, froze up on the BobTack because it got cold overnight. Well, it's not near as bad at this temperature as it is when you get down closer to zero and even below zero. At 40 below zero, you start breaking metallic parts, metal pins and stuff like that will start breaking. We used to go through a whole lot of gas line antifreeze to keep the road graders running when I was plowing snow on the ski resort. All the sliding parts and stuff like that, the ice would get built up on those and you couldn't move them even with the hydraulics. And we'd pour a gas line antifreeze on them to melt the ice on there and thaw them out and get them working again. Well, anyway, I've got that thing hooked up now, so we'll go see how it works. Well, that seems to work okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take this thing out now and run back up the driveway a little bit, just scrape this down a little bit, see how it works, and get this thing loosened up and moving and check everything out. You can see the sun went down over the hill behind us, so it's not going to be long till it gets dark here now. You see just a little bit of sunshine in the trees over there on the other side of the house. This cold weather, my batteries don't last very long, but I think they're getting tired anyway. It seems like they're not lasting as long as they should, or they used to. So I scraped things up a little bit with the blade, and it's working good. Didn't get any hydraulic blowout or anything in that fitting that I welded up, so I'm happy with that, and the blade's working. Well, you can kind of see why the blade works better. I can really scrape down with that. As I've said 100 times before, I use the bucket to start with so I don't scrape down and get rid of all of my dirt that I brought in, but it always leaves a little bit behind and it gets packed down, and then we get ice layer. With this cold weather now, that ground is frozen up harder than pavement, and I can go ahead and start peeling it down, and that's what I did there. I peeled some of that pack down, peeled some of that ice out of there. I did a little bit because it's cold. I'm not wearing my zoot suit, my little suit to keep warm with, so I just wanted to do this to kind of warm that blade up and get it all functioning, make sure it worked and everything. And you can see one of the benefits of the blade is I could stick it in there in the shop and back blade and pull that snow out of there. I went down the driveway and scraped it down. I'm not too worried about gouging it up right now because it's froze up hard, like I said. And now if it gets cold and dry, that ice will sublimate. So the blade was working good. Now the blade, as I said, has two, they call it a six-way blade because it can go to the left or to the right, and then it can tilt down to the left or to the right, and then it goes, of course, up and down. But then there's another adjustment that you can use on that. You can take the hydraulics on the BobCat and roll the blade forward. And when you do that, that puts a lot of pressure on that cutting edge, and that's what peels that ice off, that polishes that off and cuts it down. And that's one of the good benefits on that when you get pack on here like this. That thing is really heavy, it's front end heavy. It makes it a little harder to get around in some respects, but you can push down on it pretty good and cut into the ice and stuff on it. So, and then with it being able to angle, I can angle it and change the tilt on it and all of those positions on it while I'm moving, so I can constantly adjust it and watch and see what I'm doing. If I angle the blade to the left, and then the snow will come off of the right side and go off to the left, and I can keep windrowing it like that and pull it away from the banks and pull it away from places. Angle the blade to the right, and you do just the opposite. Sometimes you want to angle it one way, sometimes you want to angle it the other way, and I can do that while I'm moving. The same thing with the tilt as we go to different places where the ground's tilted a little bit more one way or the other, or if I want to cut in on one edge or something like that, I can tilt it while I'm moving. And then the same thing with the roll on the front, just canting it forward or backwards. I can take the pressure off of it by rolling it back up this way, or I can put pressure on it by rolling it down like that. So the bucket, you've only got just one thing. You can just push forward with it. You can pull back a little bit, but mainly it's just pushing forward. You can scoop snow with it, and that's what I need the bucket for mainly now, is to scoop snow. I'll push snow down there into the driveway, down into towards the highway, and I pile it up on the edge there. I don't go across the highway or out into it. And then when I get a pile, then I'll put the bucket on there and take it over on the other side of the highway and push it over the bank over there and pile it up. Oh, anyway, that's good. I got that blade going, and my hydraulic fitting worked. That's cool. Well, the sun's going down. I sat on that thing without my insulated overalls on and stuff for long enough, and I've got to chill, so I'm going to put everything away, and we'll go in and have some soup or something and get warmed up a little bit. Haji wants to play.